Hello and welcome to Asking for a Friend, a podcast engaging questions from young adults wanting to know how to live life this side of eternity, how to follow Jesus. My name is Nathan, and I'm joined by my wife, Rebecca.
Nathan and I are going to look at your questions and do our very best to answer them in a way that honors the Lord, but also encourages them in their walk with the Lord, right?
Why are you asking that in a question? Say it confidently. Yes, that's what we want to do.
Okay, good. Are you ready for a question?
Okay, yes.
You read.
Okay. How do I not force my religion on my girlfriend if I had one, but I wanted her to follow God and be a Christian? So this is kind of, I'm rephrasing this a little bit, but like, how do we date non-believers?
Yeah.
Maybe? Like, what do I do in that situation?
Right.
Yeah.
Or to me, this question is almost like I'm not dating someone. I want to be dating someone,
Sure.
but they're not a Christian. I've got my eye on someone, but they aren't walking with the Lord. Would you kind of take it as that?
Yeah.
With the if I had one
open-ended.
sort of thing?
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you think?
Well, my first encouragement would be to you, actually, not whether. My first encouragement would be to you, and this would be the same encouragement I think we'd give both of our kids, is to date someone who is following Jesus. I think I would encourage you to date a believer, a follower of Jesus. The Bible talks about that as a value, and there's some language in different contexts, but the principle is still the same, that we be equally yoked, that we be on the same page.
Why don't you explain what equally yoked means? Like, where that sounds like eggs.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit?
A yoke would be used by oxen or various animals to pull a plow. And if the yoke, if one animal's faster than the other, or taller or shorter, it puts a lot of strain and stress on one animal instead of both animals sharing the load, sharing the burden. So the idea is that we be on the same page, that we hold the same commitment to Christ. We hold the same biblical values and shared purpose. And so as young adults, for some young adults, it's hard to think of how that could be a problem. I know this might sound crazy to say, but it's hard to think. Like, I remember when I was like a little kid, like a middle schooler, and I'm like, that's okay. What if I love Jesus? Like, that's okay.
Right. That'll be enough.
But I remember when we went through that like dating series with a small group once, and he kind of put some perspective on it, saying like, okay, maybe it doesn't feel like a big issue now, but start thinking down the road. And he talked about like, what if you're dating someone who's a staunch atheist, or the family is of another cult or something, and you start having kids? Like, maybe you can navigate it without kids, and you're like, I'm gonna do my own thing. This is what I do on Sundays. This is what I do with my life. But once you bring kids into the mix, like, how is that going to go? Like, how are you going to raise those kids?
Yeah, I can't imagine like the creator of the universe, that being up for question in raising our 4 children. Yeah. I just can't imagine the strain and the contention, because that's the most important piece, right? And maybe you're saying, well, I don't want kids, and I want to find somebody who, also doesn't want kids, but you still got holidays. You still got a lot of things. You got the way you spend your money. There's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah. I think maybe we've talked about this before in like, we did a whole season on relationships and stuff, though we love relationship questions.
We do.
Anytime you want to send those in.
We do.
Depending on statistics and where you pull your statistics, I think marriages that are like non-gospel centered, non-believer, non-Christian marriages and Christian marriages, statistically, they're probably similar, like as far as divorce rates and or the other side, like happiness and joy and fulfillment. Like, we have friends who have seemingly great marriages who want nothing to do with Jesus. And so it's not that like, well, if you both follow Jesus, your marriage is going to be better. Right. Or have a greater chance of succeeding, though I do think that is the case.
I do.
I just think like if you're both following Jesus, you're going to experience something in that marriage relationship that is the greater fullness of what God has intended and desired for a marriage to be. Yeah. That's the way I try to encourage people in that. But what if, go ahead, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, we would encourage you to not even go on a first date with someone who is not a believer. Or
maybe you learn on the first date.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe not a second date.
Yeah. I'd say feel that out. It usually doesn't end well.
Yeah.
But we've had some, like, what if you're dating someone right now? And what if you still are like, I really love this person, I care for this person, like I don't know if I want to break up.
Yeah.
What advice? Is there any advice? Like, what would we do?
I mean, we I'm thinking of two friends specifically,
right.
like some of our best friends back in the day when we were dating and
still our best friends today.
No, I know. One in particular, the guy she was dating wasn't a Christian.
Right.
And she felt like the Lord said, you are to marry him. Yeah.
Which is bold.
Yeah.
But you got to own that if that's really what you feel like.
I mean, he's on fire and in love with Jesus. It was
Jesus
just
now,
like a matter of time. And by their wedding, he had accepted Christ. Another friend of ours, set of friends of ours, were married. One was a Christian, one wasn't. But he loves the Lord and is like living his life for Jesus. And so I don't really know that story so specifically, but there's always a caveat. Like there's always a story that you could hear from someone that is different, that goes against exactly what we're saying. But in general, we would encourage to not even go on a first date. If based on this question, right? We can say, we can answer specifically to this question.
Yeah. Then that's our encouragement. Like I would not date anyone who doesn't also follow Jesus.
Yeah.
And if you are dating someone, engage them, ask them.
Yeah.
How do I know if they're even following Jesus? Here's a phrase that we use, like the chances, like if they aren't talking about Jesus, then there's a good chance they aren't talking to Jesus. Like they don't have a growing, maturing relationship with the Lord. Yeah. And so it's not that we're looking for a future spouse that just checks the box. I want to know that they have like a real relationship with Jesus. And that's what I love about our relationship and our marriage, is that I know you're seeking God on decisions we have to make about kids or about life or finances or whatever. And we share with each other those things, like, I feel like God's telling us to do this, or God checked me in that. And I don't know, I just think we get to experience the fullness of that. Yeah. And so if you're in a dating relationship and you don't necessarily even feel right now like it's equally yoked, and or you're not sure whether to break up, I guess my encouragement, maybe our encouragement, speak to this if you want, would be prayer. Continue to pray about this relationship. Continue to ask God for clarity. Continue to pray for the heart and mind of someone else, and continue to express where your heart is at. I would also pray about inviting wise counsel in. Yeah. Because sometimes we got like love goggles on, we want to see it. Like there's so much hope for her. There's so much hope for him. Like, and it can be really hard. Sometimes we're just trying to talk ourselves into something that we know God is like, nah, dude, this isn't for you. Yeah.
Keep inviting them to church, Bible study. Yeah. Asking questions. Only God can do what he's going to do in their life, but you could play a part in their salvation story too. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's it.
On someone who follows Jesus. Yeah. Pray for those who aren't currently following Jesus. Yeah. I hope this has been encouraging for you and helpful.
Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of Asking for a Friend. We love the opportunity to dive deeper into these topics. And if you have any more questions, we would love for you to send it in. So how do they do that?
Yeah, you could do that by DMing us at LCCHaven. You could email us, haven@lccredding.org, or you could text it in, area code 530-338-1237. And if you're new to Haven, the young adult ministry, this is a young adult ministry of Little Country Church in Redding, California. And it's our desire and aim to rally young adults to the Word of God, mission of Jesus, and to be filled and led by His Spirit. And then to release wherever God has sent us, that we might be able to rally others to the very same thing.